Welcome back to the Iranian Fever channel. In today's Fallout 76 tutorial, we're showcasing 10 different ideas to help decorate your garden. Featuring custom-made tables, features, pathways and much more, we'll be going through each design step by step before showcasing how these can look in a completed build. Let's get started. Today's tutorial is brought to you by Drago, with most of the designs having already featured in some of his builds. This video is timestamped if there's a particular design you want to navigate to, but up first we're going to be building something similar to what is on screen right now. The framework of a garden itself centered around a custom-made garden pathway, where each of these designs will be showcased. This design is centered around a pattern made using the stone benches, a plan available only from Gram, but can easily be switched out for wooden tables or benches if you don't have them available. Start off by setting down some essentials. We used 2 flamethrowers, with one being drop merged onto a Vault-Tec rug. This will make breaking certain sections easier with the flamethrower lower than normal. Next you're going to be needing at least 4 large rugs. Again, you aren't tied to this particular rug, but something of a similar size will be best. Split them into pairs and try to line the edges up. Bring the first pair over to a pressure plate. Selecting the pressure plate in build mode will set it. And setting the rugs down on the plate will level them out a bit more. Do the same with the other 2 and then overlay the second set of rugs so you end up with this. Grab a large conduit and position the prime rug on top of it, before carrying it over to a spikeboard trap. We're using this so this composition can be hidden later on, allowing for some easier merging. Use the pressure plate again to level everything out a touch, before getting to work with these stone benches. These don't have to be exact, but the aim is to create an intermittent pattern of 2 horizontal benches aligned with a vertical bench, which is then flipped for the next set of benches. You should end up with something like this. Now's a good opportunity to reposition any benches if you see fit, but once you've reached the end it's time for the next step, which is adding some wavy willard walls to the composition. Setting down one either side to form a gateway. All the items so far should be easily movable using the rugs, which is good as they need to be drop merged. Bring the rug over to the conduit and then onto the pressure plate to sink these into the ground, before moving them back onto the spikeboard trap and to the original placement. The aim here was to create a natural looking pathway from the existing one on the golf course. It's looking good but could do with some extra sprucing up. So use the springboard trap to hide all the items temporarily, and then using some Mothman totems these can now be positioned where the stone pillars were. Repairing the traps brings everything back. Slide in 2 floor pieces either side to attach some wooden wall sections. Try to have these intersecting with the stone wall a little bit, and then destroy everything temporarily. Remove the floors and position the hedge sections to complete the look. Time to line the pathway itself now. The submerged rugs make sinking some flower pots extremely easy. Line both sides up sufficiently. And that's the pathway section for this tutorial completed. So it's now time to start on filling either side with some features. And up first we have the spore plant well. This is a fairly easy merge, this one, but a great idea from Drago using the shape of the spore plant to give the impression of it bursting through the wood. The well we used for this design was actually the creepy well, and you could use others, but this one in particular has a damaged section perfect for the plant to fit through. So set down the spore plant bed on a conduit, and then you want to line it up with the central ridge on the wood. Once you are happy with the placement, bring it over to a pressure plate, and then drop merge them, but look out for the root hanging over the edge. We tried to leave that showing over the stone. Setting down some shrubs and then moving the composition in place, and that's one down. Now for the other side. The next design is a converted Mothman bed, repurposed to function as a table. Start off with a log table. If you don't have it, other tables will likely work just as nicely, but place down a cabinet atop the table you choose, and then drop merge until the top of the cabinet is in line with the table. Set them down on top of the bed, and drop merge these as well. Move it into the space, but first Drago flipped it around so a wooden backboard could be attached. And we used the haunted house window boards for this. Spinning it back around once done, it's time to add some lights and decorate the countertop a little. Finishing touches now with a chair and a bench. The third design we wanted to showcase is a rock garden. So begin with a rainwater collector. Set down a large succulent atop this and bring them over to the pressure plate. Drop merge those. Time to add to the composition though, with the existing items set down on a rock. Merge down and succulents placed on top. Same again to level it out, and that's the first section all done. Similar process again for the second bit, using the stone as the base with a selection of succulents merged down. To add the water fountain to the mix, grab hold of the flamethrower and destroy everything temporarily. Slide it in and repair all. All done here, so let's move on to number 4, a flamingo water fountain. The centerpiece for this design is the junkyard fountain, and this is an item available from Mole Miner Pails, but it can actually be placed in a friend's camp if you know someone who has it. Place the fountain on a springboard trap positioned at the back so it's not visible. Next, place down some flower pots on a small mat, and one actually ended up working better for this, but the aim is to get the flowers in line with the top of the water in the fountain, so it looks like they're growing out of it. Activate the spring trap to slide it in, and this might take a little bit of reposition to get it just right and at the right height. Flamingos now. Destroy the items we just placed, and similar to before, the goal is to actually position these just right. The flamingo on the left standing inside the water, with the flamingo on the right dipped over just above the waterline. The final touch for now is adding in a bug zapper, positioned so it merges with the centre of the fountain. It could do with some more features though, so some custom merged barrels combined with a tyre will actually do the job here. It's probably best to place on a small mat again once these have been drop merged, and repair all to check how it's looking. In this instance, getting the tyre closed was still problematic, so placing it on a conduit had the desired effect. This is definitely a design which is perfect for customization though. Number 5 is a large shed. And this will actually fill up the space perfectly, and is centered around using a pair of wooden outhouses to create the shape. So set down 2 of those and place one of them on a small conduit. You should be able to position this outhouse atop the other one now, and the goal is to drop merge these in line with each other so both sides are matching. Bring them over to a trusty rock once done for some more drop merging. And again. Use the original spikeboard trap to hide most of the garden, which will make moving this in place much smoother. Now for some decorating. Activate the trap again and use a flamethrower to add some additional shrubs. The message board kiosk can also be added to give this shed a really unique look. Repair the rock to bring everything back. Adding the turkey actually needs a small added step. To get the base of the turkey sitting just right, we want its feet to be touching the top of the stone. So bring it over to your camp module on a conduit to raise the turkey to the correct height. Adding some lights to finish. A smaller shed option next with this number 6 design. Centered around a single outhouse, this was combined with a freight wagon. And this item is really good actually, with some unique looking boxes visible once it's been drop merged into the ground. Bring the outhouse over to a conduit and raise it slightly with the camp module. And position it in line with the wagon, and the goal with this is to have the boxes filling the space inside the outhouse. So you might need to check how this is looking. Drop merge, and then set down the wagon on a small rock and drop merge this too until almost nothing is visible. It's looking good, but some extra decoration will finish it off nicely. Up next we have the cluttered hay bales. Perfect for a rural build, we started by placing a rustic room divider up against the back hedge, then setting down a couple of short hay bales. To free place the door we're going to need a blueprint, so set down 2 floor pieces with a barn door in the middle like this. Put a small rug either side, and then you're going to want to attach a door and get a small conduit ready. Move the conduit into the frame of the doorway and then blueprint everything. You can now set this down in front of the hay bales. Switch the doorway to a wall and remove it, and then the rugs as well. Time to decorate a bit. To add a reef to the door itself, you're going to need to stack some green footlockers like this. Move them one by one to the side until you find the footlocker the reef is attached to. Bring it over to your camp module and raise it up. And move the footlocker onto a conduit. Drop merge to hide the footlocker and bring it over to the doorway. Position it until you're happy. Up at number 9 for today we have 2 small features, and this is a birdhouse and a converted planter. Starting with the birdhouse, bring the raven perch over and place it inside of a planter. Drop merge until only the raven is visible. Using the free place blueprint we used earlier, leave only the doorway this time, and move the planter into the middle of the doorway and switch it to a wall. We used a Mothman cuckoo clock and attached it to the wall, and selecting the planter now and it should be connected to it. This one is done, so ready to be moved across. And now for the next design, using a Nuka-Cola planter as the base. Grab a hold of a witch cauldron and place a succulent on top of a conduit. Try and place this neatly on top of the bar here. And drop merge until the flowers are poking out at the top of the cauldron, and then bring it across to the planter. Level this out a bit on the pressure plate. All done, so it's time for the final design for today, and that's the stone planter. Drago used this extensively in the White Springs garden shown in this tutorial, and goes really well with the stone pathway design we showed first. To get started, place a wavy willards wall on top of a rock, and drop merge this into the ground. Measuring this up against a floor piece, the aim is to have the walls at roughly this height. Without a doubt, the easiest way to snap all 4 walls in place is actually temporarily heading under the map. Set down a floor piece nearby, snap a stairway onto it like this on the side, and then move a symptomatic on top of a small rug. Try and move it now onto the bottom of the stairs, and then snap the stairway onto the side of the floor piece. Head below and snap some upper floors onto the stairs, and the wall we placed earlier is now much easier to add to. You can snap all the remaining walls on, and then head back above ground. Now this original wall, which was drop merged onto the rock, can be moved out now, and this was actually only to set the height and allow other pieces to be snapped on. You can now head back below ground and replace this particular wall section with a new one. Work backwards and remove all the upper floors, and now it's time to add the floor piece in the middle. Getting the height right for what you want might need some tinkering, but once you're happy, snap another floor piece onto the other side and remove any from inside the stone planter. You're going to be adding some flowers now, another well, and even a tree. If you need some extra height for the flowers to poke through the floor piece once it's snapped in, then maybe use something like the pickle jars to give some extra height. I will let this play out now, but really, how you choose to decorate inside is up to you. Once you're finished, destroy everything inside and snap the floors in. Repair rule, and Drago recommends using this texture if you have it, the green shag carpet. But like the decorating, a lot of things will work nicely here. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and liked the designs we showcased. Let me know in the comments which you preferred or any you'll be trying to build yourself. If you'd like to see a different build tutorial as well, then please give suggestions as well. I'd love to read them. We have another 10 hidden secrets found in Fallout 76 lore video dropping soon, and our next camp showcase is also in the works, so subscribing and turning on the bell icon is definitely the best way to stay up to date. If you enjoyed this particular video, then why not drop a like on it as well. With that said though, I'm off. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.